Severe storms making their way into the Triad. Taking a live look at radar right now, you can see the line of storms moving east. Thanks for watching. I'm Lauren Coleman. We already seen the strong winds this morning, but the system will also bring rain and some thunderstorms over the next few hours. Right now, we're taking a live look from Asheville, where drops of rain have already started falling. The storm is starting to move east towards our area. Some light droplets can be seen on the camera there. Rain is expected to pick up as thunderstorms head this way. Expect heavy winds as it moves in. Here in the Triad, we are just now starting to see the impacts of the storm. Taking a live look from Winston-Salem this morning, we could see some of the gray and the clouds in the sky. Our team of meteorologists keeping a close eye on the storm, Christian Morgan and Ed Matthews. They have been working all morning long. Ed, it seems like we're just starting to see the beginning of the storm.
That's right. We're definitely seeing some rain move into the foothills, and only in the next hour or so we'll see it right here in the immediate Triad. And Christian will be showing you the live radar coming up in just a minute as we continue to track this line of rain and thunderstorms moving into the Triad over the next hour or two. Of course, a weather impact alert day, no surprise there. We'll see scattered storms, a line of storms move through the area through about 12 noon, and then as we go through the early afternoon, we'll see that line of storms move into eastern North Carolina. However, the environmental winds are going to be up all day. We've been talking about this strong cold front with a good bit of wind energy associated with it, not only at the surface but in the upper levels of the atmosphere, and some of those stronger winds aloft are going to mix down to the surface. And that's the reason we could see wind gusts over 40 miles per hour already. Mid 30 mile per hour wind gust this morning, and they'll get stronger, especially when that line of storms moves right through the Triad. We've already heard of quite a bit of power outages out over the mountains, and even that area has not had any severe weather, but they've just had these very strong winds. So damaging winds certainly a possibility, a tornado risk, but not a high risk. It's a low risk of a tornado. And if you haven't already done so, I'd go ahead and plug the phone in and charge up the batteries for sure. And make sure you have the alerts turned on your phone, because if we do have any watches or warnings for severe weather, you'll be able to get them on your phone. And of course, easier, you'll be able to get them right here if we continue to track this together. The impacts, the line of storms moves up through about 12 noon, and then they track on down into eastern North Carolina. Our threat, if any of these become strong or severe, would be some damaging winds. In order for a storm to be classified as a severe storm, it has to have winds of 60 miles per hour. That could cause some damage, but again, the environmental winds that will last all day are certainly going to be a factor. We could rule out maybe a few power outages here locally. We're already seeing a lot of those over western North Carolina, and again, the tornado risk. So we'll watch for the winds all day. It'll stay breezy even overnight tonight and into the day tomorrow. So overall, the environmental gusty winds are the biggest threat for us, 35 to 45 mile per hour wind gust, low risk of hail and tornadoes. That is a good thing. Now, talk about the environmental wind. Our area does have a wind advisory in effect until 7 o'clock this evening for those winds gusting up over 40 miles per hour. So just keep that in mind. And look at this. Already today, since midnight, we have had a wind gust at Smith Reynolds at 35 and a wind gust at PTI at 33. But up over the higher terrain of the Blue Ridge, where we're getting more of those power outages, 43 mile per hour wind gust at Jefferson, and up on the mountain at Boone, a 40 mile per hour wind gust. 7-day forecast looking like this. We'll start to quiet things down this afternoon, but it stays breezy and windy through tomorrow, and then dry and quiet weather for the upcoming weekend. Now, Christian's all over checking live radar, and of course we'll send it over to him to show you where the storms are now.
All right, and this thing is trucking along pretty good this morning. You'll see that line. This is what we've been talking about. This is really going to be the main event for us. But like Ed mentioned, it's going to stay windy all day long, even after these thunderstorms move by. Although I think we're going to see our highest wind as this line pushes through. So where is it right now? Like I said, this thing is trucking along. It's already cleared really the extreme southwestern corner of North Carolina. So already clearing, moving past the Asheville area down into the upstate of South Carolina. I'll show you this too. This is encouraging to see some just general rainfall out over the foothills this morning. That could limit the severe weather risk for that area. Now, not to say that'll be the same case for us in the Triad, but it's at least helping those folks just to our west this morning. Let's zoom in a little bit closer, and I want to show you what I'm seeing. We're talking about this line forming, and you can see a little bit of organization with this line just south of Hickory here, down near the Charlotte area and into the upstate of South Carolina. That's what we're going to have to be watching over the next couple of hours. When we go down into the upstate, you can see this big line of not only really heavy rain, but strong and gusty winds here as well. And there's also a little bit of rotation in that line down in the upstate of South Carolina too. You'll notice there's a severe thunderstorm warning here. This is for Lexington, Newberry, Richland, and Saluda counties in the upstate of South Carolina. But the reason I want to point this out to you is that damaging wind again is the main concern. But you'll also notice this tornado possible tag on that severe thunderstorm. Those folks at the National Weather Service in Greenville and Spartanburg also seeing the same thing I'm seeing with that storm trying to spin a little bit. So while our risk is low today for a tornado, it's not zero. So it's something that we'll be paying attention to. Low severe weather risk again for our western counties. As we move into the immediate Triad, we are in a level 2 risk for severe weather. East of the Triad and for the rest of eastern North Carolina and central North Carolina, those folks are in a level 3 risk for severe weather. That doesn't necessarily mean their weather is going to be worse there. It just means there's a higher likelihood of having severe storms in those orange highlighted areas. Okay, so just to put that in perspective for you. Here's the big setup though. We have a strong cold front on the way. And what do we mean when we say it's a strong one? It means that there's a ton of wind energy with this storm. That means that even outside of storms, we're still windy. So that's why we have that big wind threat for today. Our line of rain and storms is actually out ahead of the actual cold front. So once it moves by, I do expect that we'll get some clearing for the afternoon. The one thing I think we'll have to watch though, it's less of a likelihood, but there could be a couple of pop-up showers or a few strong thunderstorms this afternoon and early this evening. Again, not a guarantee. It'll be staying windy though tonight into tomorrow, even as dry and cooler air moves in for our Thursday. All right, let's take a closer look, hour by hour forecast. We're moving through the next few hours. Now really through about 9 o'clock, this is moving through the western Piedmont and the foothills, really approaching us in the immediate Triad between 8 and 11, and then 10 to 1 pushing east of our area and over toward Raleigh-Durham. And again, as we get into the afternoon, we'll see some sunshine come out, but these wind gusts that you're seeing, these are not temperatures, these are wind gusts, are still going to be in the 25 to 30, maybe up to 35 mile per hour range, even into this evening. Again, not as much of a likelihood, but we'll have to watch for a few of those pop-up storms later this afternoon as the actual front pushes through. All right, so think about these as your be ready times now through 9 o'clock in the foothills, 8 to 11 in the Triad, 10 to 1 east of the Triad, and later than that as we move toward the Raleigh-Durham area, central North Carolina, the coastal North Carolina region that doesn't reach them until tonight. Okay, so that severe weather risk really is over by lunchtime today around noon. As we move into the afternoon, we're still going to be warm today, mid-60s ahead of the cold front and windy. Wind gusts still in the 30 to 35 mile per hour range, but I do think we have some sunshine back to finish off today. All right, there's your Thursday. Much cooler and sun is back, but we're still windy. Upper 40s, low 50s for your Thursday. And we'll show you that 7-day forecast one more time. We're dry and we're quiet through the end of the work week. Upper 50s Friday, back in the mid 60s on Saturday. Hey, don't forget we spring forward 1 hour on Sunday for daylight saving time. We'll finish out the weekend, even though we have our 7 o'clock sunsets back. I think it'll be hard for Sunday. Mid 50s and a rain chance for Sunday. We're dry, getting warmer, near 70 early next week.
Christian, it has been a while since we've seen thunderstorms like this in our area. When are we most worried about the storms?
Well, really, Lauren, our alert goes all day because of wind, but we're most concerned about the storms in that 7 a.m. to noon time frame. So really now through about lunchtime. I really think if you have to boil it down even tighter than that, I know 7 to noon is sort of a wide window, but that's to cover all of our area. Heart of the Triad, I'd really say between about 8 a.m. and 11 a.m. And this thing's moving along pretty quickly, so it may be on the earlier side of that timing, but those are the times I want you to sort of be checking the weather, be in the know of what's going on.
And Ed, a question for you. You know, during storms like this, a lot of folks, they start thinking about their power. Will it go out with the storms headed our way? Is that a possibility?
Certainly that is a possibility. And I think, Lauren, one of the interesting things is that there are many, many power outages out over the mountains, and there have been no severe thunderstorm warnings in that area. So we're talking about those environmental winds, and when you get those rain and storm elements to move through, they create gusty winds, but they may not be to the point of the storm being classified as a severe storm with winds at or above 60 miles per hour. So we've been telling our viewers, and if you haven't done it yet, you still got some time, a little short time, to charge up any devices, your cell phone and things like that, because we could definitely have some of those power outages, especially when this line moves through. That'll be the strongest winds, but again, the winds are going to stay over 30, 35 miles per hour into the evening hours this evening.
Yeah, now a great time to charge up those electronics. Christian, this storm is pretty big. Will we continue to see more storms later on in the afternoon?
Well, the main storm really is moving through right now. Our main event is this big line of rain and storm. So that's where we have our biggest concern. The one question that we have is once this line gets by this afternoon, we get some clearing, we get some sunshine. The question is whether or not we'll have some more storms later in the afternoon and evening. Now, they likely wouldn't come through in an organized fashion like this, but there could be a few pop-up or isolated showers or thunderstorms. It's harder to do after this line moves through. We use up a lot of our moisture. We use up a lot of our instability. So it's harder to do, but it's something that we'll have to at least keep an eye out for. And I will tell you, even though our tornado risk is low, you get into the afternoon, those isolated storms, or what we call discrete cells, when they're off on their own, they have a little bit better of an opportunity to start to spin or start to rotate. So if that happens in the afternoon, we'll probably have, again, a risk of a low tornado risk to keep an eye on. But again, not a guarantee, just something that we're watching. I really think once this line is by us, that's most of the big action that we'll see today.
Always good to stay alert. During this time, we often hear from viewers, they ask, what is the difference between a watch and a warning?
That's a very good question. Let's talk about a watch. First of all, just what it says. We are watching the situation as it unfolds. It may be a tornado watch. It may be a severe thunderstorm watch, or it could even be a flood watch associated with storms that are producing very heavy rainfall. But that particular severe weather threat is actually not occurring yet, but it could very shortly. So think of a watch as being an opportunity to kind of get prepared. Now, when the warning is issued, that means that that specific severe weather element is taking place. So a tornado warning means that a tornado or a funnel cloud has been detected on Doppler radar, or maybe has even touched down. Flood warning would imply that flooding is taking place, and that's when you really, really need to go into action to protect yourself.
All right, thank you, Ed. We are wrapping up our weather coverage for now. We will continue our weather updates all day right here on WFNY Plus. Be sure to check back regularly to stay in the know as the storm moves in.